I'm actor Louis Stannett, and I'm here for BritFlicks, and I'm talking to two filmmakers who I personally know, Will RC and Dankuro, about their upcoming feature film Iceland Is Best, which is about a film where a young girl wants to pursue her dreams and move to California, but along the way she's gonna come across some obstacles. So, gents,
yes,
how was filming?
Oh, well, I'll leave that one to you.
Filming was great. Fantastic cast and crew. They were very, very accommodating and very professional to a very high level. And obviously that goes without saying. We had the American cast as well, which were wonderful professional actors. Superb. I mean, I had a great time.
There were challenges for sure, and as we were saying earlier, Iceland has a unique climate, and in November it's particularly difficult. I mean, how much you were losing? What was it, like 15 minutes of daylight a week or something like that?
10 minutes of daylight, every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it was heading towards
we had like
there.
4 hours at the end of the shoot.
But the beautiful thing is that those 4 hours are stunning.
When the sun is just hovering above the horizon, it's beautiful, but
just adds up the pressure because you've got a little deadline to meet.
Well, exactly, and then also the usual pitfalls of it being a pretty low budget indie film, and we didn't have the sort of facilities of a giant studio behind us and all the infrastructure that comes with. We did have a wonderful team in Iceland.
Put together by Helga.
Yeah, Helga, who's our line producer and co-producer, and first AD as well. Yeah. Bless her, she's a multi-talented girl. And she put together this fantastic team. And, there's a lot of experience in Icelandic crews. They've worked on some really major films out there, and I think this would have been nice for them, I would imagine, because they're a lot closer to the production as a whole. It's not as though it's a huge studio shoot where they're sort of compartmentalised around the place. This was a kind of all hands on deck, everyone.
Yeah, it's refreshing, I think, for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I certainly got that impression from certainly one of the American actors. Seemed to just he relished doing this because it was a chance. He really got an opportunity to get involved with Max, the director, and talk about his character and be a part of the process of developing that character and developing the script as a whole. I think they really appreciated that.
Yeah, and then I think Max really stood by the actors
absolutely.
And supported them in every way possible.
Yeah,
he really gave it all.
He did
to the crew, of course, and cast.
Yeah.
So what drew you guys to actually wanting to produce Iceland Is Best? Like what initial thing caught your eye?
Funny thing, I met Max over a film shoot that he was helping another friend of mine. He was mentoring her. And then we just stayed in touch and we kind of got along really well. And then he said, I've got this few scripts. He's got lots of scripts. And they're all wonderfully different and great scripts. And then there was one that particularly stood out, Iceland at the time, and I read it. I thought it was really funny, but also had a very poignant point about life. So I shared it with Will. We were looking to venture our first feature film.
Absolutely.
So I throw it to Will, and Will.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I looking at a script like that. Like Dan says, we were kind of chomping at the bit to just go
steam into something.
Yeah, do our first movie. We figured we were more than capable of giving it the good old college try. And so we were looking for something. And Iceland hit these beats for us, which was it was clearly an ambitious project and proved definitely to be an ambitious project, but it was fundamentally achievable. And so. What we are hoping we have here, and I certainly believe we have, is something that people can look at. They can appreciate what's gone into this, and they can see the kind of mountain that it was to scale. Which a lot, if not all, indie films of low budgets are like. They're all like that. And I think this obviously has its own unique challenges, which I hope people will see and will appreciate. And of course, we've managed to get to the end of the the process with it, which is always the dream, and unfortunately not always the result. So. So yeah, and reading the script, like Dan says, it was really funny, and it was really it was beautiful in the sense it has a lot of pathos and
True, a sort of global telling of a message.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
relatable,
a properly universal story insofar as, so you've got a girl who lives in rural Iceland, dreams of going off to California and following her dreams. And I grew up inside the M25 within 20 minutes train ride of central London, where I literally had the world at my fingertips. And I still felt the same. When I was, sort of 15, 16, 17, all I wanted to do was just get out there in the world. But it was right there for me. And yet I still had those feelings. And I remember one person, when we were testing the film, a couple came in, an English guy and I think she was Romanian, was the girlfriend, and the guy, he just said, I don't really get it, and she was like, are you mad? And this girl, she would have grown up in probably on a farmland in Romania, middle of nowhere, and she would have felt exactly the same way. And at that moment it was one of those weird things where she and I wouldn't normally have much in common, all of a sudden had this mutual experience, and so we really hope that the film kind of captures that for a lot of the audience as well.
Yeah. So it's gonna resonate with people, because you never really think of that, do you? We kind of take it for granted that what I want to do, luckily I'm in the centre of it, and like as you two are, like what you want to do, you're in the centre of it. Whereas we don't think about people who come from further away where those opportunities don't arise, so that they have to physically travel away from their family, away from their friends, away from their girlfriends, their other halves to pursue that. So it's going to resonate with them type of people, isn't it?
And then there's always going to be an obstacle,
forever.
Whenever
Yeah.
anybody decides to do something, immediately creating a sense of journey, isn't it?
Exactly.
And you hit one bar and then another bar raises.
Of course. Well, and this is the point, is that it's a continual growth throughout life, I think, and this is so poignant and relatable for so many people, because everyone passes through that point, when you are in your late teens and you want to go out and experience the world. What happens from then on? You're absolutely right. You continually find these hurdles in your life, which or splits in the road where do you go this way or that way, and those then become, I was about to say more unique, they become more personalised to each person. Whereas, that point seems to be somewhere, I think the vast majority, if not all of us, reaches that same point.
And it's an interesting story how Max came about the story itself. He met a lady in LA.
Yes.
In a video store or a DVD store at the time, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But he just looked at her and she was, very unique looking. And so Max took great interest and spoke to her, and turned out she was from Iceland. And I think before, he's never met Icelandic woman apart from Björk, I think he said. So he was mesmerized and asked a lot of questions, and here we are. We made a film on Max's encounter.
Well, this is the thing, and the film is very much so inspired by the true events of her life, and as is always the case, life is even more bizarre than the fiction, and we had to tone the story down, actually, didn't we? The true story was so mad that we just sat there and thought, no one's gonna buy into this, And our girl Sigga lives in a little rural fishing village of probably, I don't know, is it 4 or 5 hours out of Reykjavik, whereas the real girl, she lived in Keflavik, which is where the airport is.
The international airport.
And it was probably a 15-minute walk from her front door.
Yeah, so you had to make it a bit more difficult. Cinematic is exactly right.
But it still took her 3 years to leave.
Yeah.
And of course, all the things that happened to her, which we touch a lot on in the film, it was just so mental what was going on that we thought, well, right, we've got to kind of move this into a bizarrely a more believable way of telling the story.
Or at least create that distance, I guess.
Absolutely. And I hope, from the bottom of my heart, I hope that this the film, because so the girl, she's been very involved in the process, right from obviously when Max met her and he interviewed her for those days and wrote the first script all the way through to this series. I hope that this has proven to be a cathartic experience for her and not a traumatic one, because this was a very difficult period in her life, and so so I hope that she gets the same kind of feeling that we do now at the back end of this thing. I hope this is as good for her as it is for us, I suppose.
Absolutely. She enjoyed the process when she was on set.
So what kind of audience do you guys want to see the film?
Everyone should go and see it. Yeah, everyone should go see it 3 or 4 times if they can. Would be fantastic.
I'm gonna be there 5 or 6.
Have a hard copy, digital copy.
No, it's interesting. So not to get too into the watch the sausage being made type thing, but we tested the film extensively with a huge variety of audiences and range. Obviously,
15.
Men, women, right the way from I think the eldest
to 70, late 70s.
Yeah, late 70s, and they all found something in it which. And I think that it was that leaving home point was something that constantly got everyone. But there were different different characters popped up as people's favourites, and so I think everyone kind of takes everything differently. We've always thought that this was I guess the Americans would call it like a young adult,
a coming of age.
Yeah, exactly.
Film.
With a fairy tale.
Yeah, there's certainly a fairy tale element to it, definitely. But I think it's difficult for us to sit here and say who we think should. Because we made a film for everybody. I mean, that's what we tried to do, and it's far be it from us to sort of define who should like it and who probably wouldn't get it. I think that's the beauty. I think certainly of British audiences is that we've got such a broad palette when it comes to narrative and to cinema in particular. That you just don't know what people are going to like, or I really hope they like it.
I hope they like it too as well.
I really hope they like it.
Absolutely.
So this is back more towards, we're going back towards the shooting of the film almost. So in pre-production, how was casting the film in London when you're going to film?
No, we didn't. I guess we sort of cast from London. Is a fair point.
But the casting places were Iceland, and Max went out to Iceland from quite early on, or a number of times to do the casting process, and he kept us updated.
Well, we had all the headshots came through, and he did some. I mean, Max is a very interesting process when it comes to actors, I think, and it wasn't there weren't traditional readings that he got to do. It was a lot more playful, I guess. It was more interactive.
He gave them each one a time.
Yeah.
I think, which a lot of times when you go for auditions, you probably get 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But this process, he was giving them good half an hour slots, so to really explore.
Yeah, that's a nice time for an actor to be able to show what they can do.
Yeah, I think one of the main things was certainly that from the Icelandic side, that the people that we were casting were so young, and the 4 friends. So Siri, who's our main girl, Kata, Bene, and Gunne, they're all in their late teens. I think the youngest was 16 when we started shooting.
15
when we started shooting.
No, when we did the mood board, she was 15.
Yeah, and so I think with actors as young as that in particular, and also when you think for all of them, this was their first feature film, certainly their first outing shooting on film.
Yeah.
And also acting in a different language, in a second language. I mean, their English is immaculate.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's a challenge, and so I think it was really important that we were able to give them that time and give Max that time to get to know them, because
to explore their full potential, I guess.
Exactly, and God, did we get lucky with a lot of them? They're fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopping on to the post-production side as opposed to the pre-production, how did the film change in post?
Dramatically.
They always say you remake the film How many
Three times, yeah.
3 times,
when you
yeah.
write it, when you shoot it, and when you edit it. And
Yeah.
we changed the film 7 or 8 times, I think, in the end.
Yeah, there was quite a few changes throughout the editing process, and we managed to spread over the time with editing, so we had a bit of breathing.
Yeah, we did. Again, I mean, coming back to the supportive nature of the people around us, and the post-production house we were using
Was extremely generous.
incredibly generous with their time and their facilities for us, and in fact, On-Site, which is the company, they had been really one of the first outfits that we spoke to about this film when we decided we wanted to make it.
First one to come on board.
Yeah, so we're talking, 5 years ago we started talking to them about this, and they are still today working with the same enthusiasm for us, doing the deliverable items and whatnot. And so, for that, we're incredibly grateful. And so, yeah, like Dan says, we were given a lot of breathing room. In that, and yeah, the narrative changed. It seemed to change almost weekly. I mean, it was quite remarkable,
and hence why we had a lot of screenings.
Yeah,
testing with the audience.
Hundreds and hundreds of them.
So big thanks to On-Site
huge
and everybody
thanks to
there.
On-Site. Yeah, Tony Mayer in particular, and Jeff
and Simon
and all of them.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, they just gave us open-hearted support, which is. For young up-and-coming filmmakers, it's a kind of a
it's
dream.
priceless.
It's a
invaluable.
dream come true.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing, I mean, what we found is that a lot of, certainly in London, a lot of the facilities there are really as supportive as that. And so I think we're incredibly fortunate in the UK to have guys like that operating, what is arguably one of the most important parts of a production.
And then I guess that led to On-Site introducing us to Gareth Jones.
Absolutely, yeah. So through On-Site we met our exec producer, Gareth Jones, and we were talking about this the other week, weren't we? The moment Gareth came on board, that was when we kind of went from being chancers to being...
This is actually happening, and
He really slapped us into shape, because we sat there and thought, we got all these options. He was like, guys, you've got nothing. Come on. And he sort of...
At least he's being real about it.
No, absolutely. And this is what we've always liked about Gareth. He sort of under promises and over delivers, and so and he's a great leveler, and something really cool happens and you get super excited and you want to go out and celebrate, and he's just like, well, hang on, calm down, we need to sign it first, and I don't like this clause. And
you always need someone like that, though, don't you?
Absolutely, and
Who's walked the ropes for many years.
Yes.
So still on the post-production side, what was it like? I mean, I'm an actor, so it's hard for me to gauge different. Do you know what I mean? The lingo's even hard for me. I'm only just catching it on now. But what was it like? What's it like editing a film on the film as opposed to it being?
So we didn't actually edit on film.
Yeah.
We actually digitized the footage, and then so it's easier to edit on the usual Avid. So we did that. That was on the HD. And then throughout the process we were referring to the digital side, and for the grading facility as well, we decided to go through a digital intermediate. So you scan the film at 4K neg at a wonderful lab called CineLab.
So what was the grading like for you guys then? How did that work?
We did the grading on-site with a wonderful colorist called Andy Lee. So we did the digital intermediate workflow, and we graded on the wonderful software, which I don't remember the name of the software. It's a Spanish software, so it's a bit not industry standard, but nonetheless amazing software, and more than anything, the technician there and Andy was fantastic.
So big thanks to Andy and CineLabs again.
Oh, absolutely.
CineLab,
and On-Site, and the whole lot of them. Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, for me, that side of the technical side of post-production has never really been my forte. And what was fascinating, I think widely people understand the effect that an editor has on a narrative of a film, or even the look of a film, obviously because of what they're doing. To see Andy work alongside Dan in the grade, you see again, it's another area of collaboration where another, from the surface of it, another technician, is actually having a huge impact with their, you know, the colours that they like and their knowledge, and you know, that they'll. It's not as though Dan was sat there saying, you know, more, you know, up the reds or you know, make
constantly
that colder.
it's a consulting
Exactly,
process.
and he was saying, well, you know, I'm not quite sure about this scene, you know, and so to see yet another area of collaboration was
to see people care again,
it's
who
fantastic.
Every stages,
and that's the thing, they care, they take it so personally, and because their name's going to be on this as well, and so you know, if people look at that and they're going to, you know, there's the technical, making sure this scene looks the same as this scene, absolutely, that's important, and so if that looks crap, then you know, they're going to get it in the neck. So there's that side that they care, but they also care about making sure that this looks as good as it possibly can, and he did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely, he saved my ass.
So what's next for you guys at No Reservations? What's the next project? What's the next thing to get stuck into?
Well, it's busy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the first thing to note is that we are so lucky to have found a number of really interesting writers and directors, and they're just constantly coming to us with content. And so that's always exciting, because you just don't know what the next sort of script is going to be. But as for the ones that we do know about, there's... well, you start.
Well, yeah, there's one in post-production called Firebird. It's based on a Cold War drama.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
So more on that soon.
Yeah.
And following that, I guess we're quite far into the development. It's probably Wrong Place, Wrong Time.
Absolutely.
Which is a true crime drama, would you say?
Yes, a true crime thriller set in the early 90s, and so banging soundtrack, to say nothing else. But based on a fantastically popular novel of the same name by a guy called David Perlmutter. So that's been really exciting. So we've got a great director on board for that, guy called Chris Butler, and working alongside some very old friends of ours, frankly, a company called Golden Mile Productions. And so yes, that's really exciting, and we're hoping, I mean, obviously, you know, again, COVID has slowed everything down, but we're hoping to be looking sort of springtime next year to be out and shooting that.
Yeah.
So keep him busy.
Absolutely. And
there's more. Calm down. There's more.
And then I think the one it's nice different genres of films that we've got in bag, and you know, Day 6 is one of them.
Yeah, definitely. So writer, director, and very dear friend of BritFlicks, Jane Foster, who I've been unfortunate enough to know for a very long time now, and she came to us with this. It's a fantastic sci-fi. I mean, you'd call it an epic, wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah.
Called Day 6, which is, and this process again is super exciting for me, because it's the first sci-fi script that we've come across that we think is worth, you know, spending any time on. It's
highly ambitious.
Yeah, highly ambitious. It's well out of my comfort zone, and I'm super excited for it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we've got a horror film called Storm, which is again with Chris Butler.
Yeah.
But he wrote this one.
Yes.
Where Wrong Place, Wrong Time is not written by
Chris. No. But Storm is mad. It's pretty good. It's also, and it's set sort of deep in the music industry, I don't want to go too much further on that, because the problem is I'll get it wrong, and
it will just come across.
Exactly.
Totally,
Look forward to it though, because it's that's a nuts movie. So,
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Well, you've got like at least 3 or 4 different, like you've already said, you've got a horror, you've got a sci-fi, it's not like you guys are shying away from anything.
No,
if anything,
no. Well, and that, as Dan was saying earlier, it comes back to the name of the company, No Reservations. We have no reservations on, so long as it's good and is, you know, just enough this side of pornography, we'll be more than willing to have a look at it.
And it's making films for everyone, like you said as well. Like, that really comes across, doesn't it? That you're making films for everyone, as long as the story's there, the narrative's there.
You know, we're making films for people like us, and the thing is, when we say people like us, you probably couldn't find 2 more different people. And so, you know, we cover, I think, such a range of tastes.
Yeah, definitely. it does cover most
Yes, I think
circle of
so.
genres, I would say.
I think so.
Right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there because I think I've waffled for too long.
Yeah, you're the one who's been waffling. Absolutely, mate.
Yeah.
It's your job to waffle. I'm just here to waffle. No, but thank you very much.
No,
so
thank
we've
you.
been with No Reservations today with Will RC and Dankuro. So make sure to try and check out their upcoming film, Iceland is Best.